Are the Rams the biggest threat to the Bucs in the NFC?
No, Marcellus, they are not the biggest threat to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the biggest threat to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, most specifically their pass defense right now. Now, look, I know where you guys are probably going to go with this. It's early. They're the defending champs. You're going to have a little complacency coming out the door. What's the big deal? But it's in large part a compliment to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I don't really see a definitive challenger out there short of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being less than they were the last time we saw them winning a Super Bowl. And the pass defense, make no mistake, considering they played the Cowboys and the Falcons, this has not been a good pass defense. They're not getting pressure on the quarterback. They've only got 2 sacks through 2 weeks. They've given up the most pass completions by far. They've given up the most yards after catch by far. They've given up the most first down. So if I'm picking nits, if I'm reason to doubt that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming out of the NFC, it isn't because of the Los Angeles Rams. It's because, in part, what I've seen from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after 2 weeks.
Oh, Slick, you're off to a slow start. I didn't know I was going to get the philosophical version of you to Slick. I wanted the real version of Slick Rick, the Bucher. I've never lost a game to myself. I've never lost a game with a team to ourselves. Like, we never went out there and said, Coach, nobody's here. He's like, we still lost. That doesn't happen in the NFL. You need an opponent. And there is an opponent, a formidable opponent out there by the name of the Los Angeles Rams. The biggest threat to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC is the team that they're going to face this weekend. Don't forget, last year they played each other. And according to the transactions at quarterback, it looks like they played last year with one arm tied behind their back, and that arm was called Jared Goff because there were some issues, some rumblings, and obviously a lower ceiling when it comes to Jared Goff versus Matthew Stafford. Enter Matthew Stafford. Now, I'm not going to sit here and make this proclamation they have to win in week 3 or else the Rams are doomed. But at the same time, if you beat a team with a lesser quarterback, there is going to be the expectation that you can beat that same team, a Super Bowl championship team, with a better quarterback. So that's what Matthew Stafford is facing. That's what these Rams are facing. Now, who are they facing? They're facing the Tampa Bay Bucs, Super Bowl champions that just got better. Now, not in totality, as you pointed out, Slick, pass defense is looking a little suspect compared to last year's run. But in totality, look at this team. They have went 9 consecutive games with 30 points or more. They are lighting up the scoreboard. And that's going to be the issue for the Rams that are not the same on defense as they were last year. Obviously, losing your defensive coordinator matters because they're not the same defense, even though a damn good defense. So you add all that up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers looking like they're an improved version on their championship run, but also the team that stopped them last year looks like an improved version themselves.
Yeah, I'm with you, Marcellus. I believe the Rams are the biggest threat. They're the biggest threat because I believe Sean McVay and Les Snead have been looking at the NBA, and they built this team much like an NBA team. In fact, they kind of remind me of the Brooklyn Nets because their 3 stars are legitimate top 5 players at their respective positions. Matthew Stafford, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. And because those 3 stars, when healthy, they can line up and go toe-to-toe with anybody. We have seen it early in the year. This team is explosive. They're dynamic. They are terrific on both sides of the ball. Matthew Stafford has given this offense a vertical element that didn't exist with Jared Goff. You've seen Cooper Kupp make big plays down the field. Van Jefferson. We've also seen Robert Woods get involved in the mix. The running game is coming together with Sony Michel, Darrell Henderson, some of these other guys. But defensively is where they're going to make their calling card. It's about Aaron Donald being able to create pressure up front, Jalen Ramsey being able to snuff out your number 1 option, and then them playing great defense. Even though it's different, Raheem Morris calling the calls as opposed to Brandon Staley, this team is terrific. The only challenger right now that I see in the NFC are the Rams because they're talented enough to do so.
You know, you guys didn't think you were going to get the philosophical Bucher today.
No.
I didn't know I was going to get the presumptive Bucky Brooks and Marcellus Wiley today.
Whatever.
Because we have not seen Matt Stafford at the time that we're talking about. We're not talking about this Sunday. We're not talking about regular season. We're not talking about the Rams beating the Bucs during the regular season and then, well, if you traded out Goff or Stafford, then obviously they're going to be better in the playoffs. Really? How do we know they're going to be better in the playoffs? How do we know what Matt Stafford is as a playoff quarterback? I don't have anything to go on there. And that is my biggest issue here, is because that's the linchpin. That's ultimately is the difference maker for the Los Angeles Rams. And Matt Stafford, as good as he's looked to this point, and I'd say he's looked good. He hasn't looked great. Love the chemistry that he has with Kupp. There's another level that he has to go to that he's never been asked to go to before.
Even
and
that.
if he doesn't go to that level, then ultimately everything we're talking about goes by the wayside. So that's what I need to see. And really, we're not going to get that answer. That's why I went philosophical. Because we're not going to get that answer this weekend. We're not going to get it during the regular season. We're really not going to find out what the Los Angeles Rams are until we get to the playoffs, because that's when we're going to find out who Matt Stafford really is.
Oh, man, Slick, goodness, it's hard in your household. You're one of those people that say since you haven't done something, you can't do something. I'm not that person. I'm the person that says Matthew Stafford is certainly up for the challenge when you surround him with the proper pieces. Has he ever been in this position?
Top 5 quarterback, as Bucky said? Are you with that?
Oh, no,
Top 5 quarterback?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I'm not in his
I'm
house
with that.
either. That's too much. Bucky over there having ice cream for breakfast. That's too much. I'm not that far gone. I'm just saying I am not going to condemn Matthew Stafford for the lows and the woes of the Detroit Lions in that organization. I'm going to say I'm going to extract Matthew Stafford from that circumstance and put him somewhere with better resources, and all of a sudden, let's watch him prosper. That's him with the L.A. Rams. Woo! This is going to be a good matchup. We already know this is going to be a good matchup this weekend here in SoFi. But let's talk about the projection of what they could look like even in a playoff setting. The Rams are going to go out there, and they're playing smart football. Now, we haven't seen the best of Matthew Stafford. We saw some glimpses of it in Week 1. Week 2, not so much. But this team is second in the NFL, and this is a good second, in terms of penalties, second in terms of sacks allowed. You look at them in the red zone, they are second as well. So there are some things that Matthew Stafford has already done to a Rams offense. Remember, every year under Jared Goff, they were in decline in terms of production. Now, Matthew Stafford not only has stopped the bleeding, but has started to restore some of the things that Sean McVay wants to do. You look at him on the offensive side of the ball, it's all positive, top 5 in points scored, everything. It's the defensive side of the ball where you start to scratch your head and say, not the same Rams team as last year. Rams 25th in rushing offense, rushing defense is 20th. 26th in defense on third down, getting off the field. You do not want to stay on the field against Tom Brady. So the projection going forward is simply, can Matthew Stafford be better than Jared Goff? Most would say as soon as he runs out the tunnel, yes. But more than that, can they play smart football, balanced football, effective, efficient football? Because Tom Brady and the Buccaneers certainly going to do that. My answer to that is yes, because Matthew Stafford is now an L.A. Ram, not a Detroit Lion.
Well, I mean, I'd never want to go out to eat with Rick because Rick evidently doesn't have appetizers before we have dinner. Because this is a preview for what we're going to see in the playoffs.
Yes.
This is a great opportunity for us to see what the Rams are really all about. And even though we can call it a regular season game, this is going to have playoff intensity because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers know that they may very well face the Rams down the line. And before you guys start disparaging Matthew Stafford, I want to leave you with this. Matthew Stafford was brought to the Rams to be the closer. And being the closer, they just need him to, in the fourth quarter, close out games in which they may be behind. Since 2009, Matthew Stafford has 31 fourth-quarter comebacks, only behind Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger. So we can sit here and talk about his playoff record, but history says in the fourth quarter, if you need him, he's going to show up and deliver. That's why the Rams are a threat to the Bucs, because they know they got a guy that can put them on their back if they need be.
He also might help you fall behind so he can make that comeback. I mean, that's got to be part of it,
That
right?
part.
Is that look, here's the other part. And you guys have actually provided it, because this is my question, and it's not just Matt Stafford. I have questions about the Rams overall. Marcellus brought it up. Like, where is their defense? I know what they're capable of. I know what some of the names are, but they haven't demonstrated that to this point. They haven't been a defensive juggernaut to this point. And the run game, Bucky, I love it. Clearly you right, because you are very nuanced with your words. The running game is coming along. Yeah, it's coming along, but it still has a ways to go.
Long way.
So when I put it all together, look, Matt Stafford is an unknown. The running game, kind of an unknown, okay? And the defense, exactly where is it right now? When I put all that together, it's not like the Rams can't be the most formidable team that they face. But if you're asking me the question right now, I need to know and see more before I can give them and put them in that pole position against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So until I see that, it's really what I've seen from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that makes me question in terms of their ability to ultimately get back to the Super Bowl.
Slick, you can't try to prove a point so much that you actually go to the absolute and say that Matthew Stafford's an unknown. Like, we can't do that. We know about Matthew Stafford. The Rams, the Rams gave up resources for Matthew Stafford, and it wasn't just to go out there and look good for the first 17 weeks. It was for what Bucky said, for them to put the cherry on top finally, because they have a greater quarterback at the most important position. And so far, you even said it, Slick, he's looked good to great, but not great consistently, correct? But he's still right now on a career-high pace in completion percentage, in passing yards per attempt, and in passer rating. His passer rating is 127, and we sitting here, at least you, Slick, talking about, he looking all right right now. All right, if he looks all right now, imagine when he scratches the ceiling in terms of his true potential. The offense is clicking. We see that. Now, it's about the defensive side of the ball getting adjusted to new play calling because they have the dogs on that side of the ball. You add it all up, this is not the week, as Bucky said, for us to go out there and say, oh, man, this is the entree. We about to grub. This is the appetizer. This is the broccolini, as they bring out. And you're sitting there like, okay, this is cool. And you're waiting to see, as a litmus test, how do you match up with the champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Because Tom Brady over there acting a donkey himself. 9 touchdown passes already, only second to Patrick Mahomes after 2 weeks all time. So you look at this situation, this is going to be a great balancing act to see where you are compared to them. But if you fall short, it's okay, because at the most important position, you guys have taken care of business.
Yeah, Marcellus, this is a fact-finding mission for the L.A. Rams. This is an opportunity for them to use the Buccaneers as a measuring stick to see exactly where they are and where they need to improve and get better. Much like the Buccaneers used their game against the Chiefs last year to help them in the Super Bowl. And so it's about gathering information, getting that intel on tape, being able to take the information that they get to build a nice scouting report. So when they do eventually face again, maybe in the NFC Championship game, the Rams are better prepared to knock the Buccaneers off. It might be knocking them off for the second time, or it may be rematching it and running it back the right way. But either way, this is a great test for the Rams because they are the biggest threat, and they know that this is a team that they're going to face and that they have to face to get to the other side of the NFC title game. So that's why this is a big game for them. It's one in which I expect them to win, if we're going to predict.